We on the inside. We on the inside.
That's nice. Good to see a close connection. That's dynamics. Bad vibes, bad vibes. So, I was just playing around a little bit with the graphics here, yeah?
Yeah, I like that.
Of course, I want to say good night, good night, good night
Good night to everyone. Good night to
to
everyone.
everyone so far. It is Thursday. You guys know what that means. We Limin with the fellas, where we bring topics that some of you may not want to hear, topics that some of you may love to hear, and topics that some of you want to hear but scared to talk about it because of your significant other sitting right there somewhere. All right? And also with the disclaimer, the views and the option, the opinions of Alignment with the Fellas are the views and the opinions of Alignment with the Fellas alone. All right? We do not talk about anyone. We are not specifically calling anybody's name. So if you listening after and you hear a topic that hits you to heart, I don't even know who you are. I wasn't even speaking to you. I am just speaking of real talk in real time. All right? So without further ado, I say good night. And my good brother right here will introduce himself and the topic tonight. And I think we have a co-host. I hope she's ready. I hope she's ready.
She not ready. She not ready.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that at all. Hope you're ready.
Well, I don't know why my co-host to my left he wants to take himself out of this topic for tonight. But welcome to Alignment with the Fellas, and the topic tonight on episode 3 will be poly relationships. Some might like it, some might don't, but this is a trending topic now, and we have a special guest that should be joining us tonight. What's her name? I forget your
Is she
name.
coming on? Is the guest coming on tonight? She is? Okay, she is. Hold on, let me unmute your
Type
co-host.
type her name in the chat so we know her name.
So to start, to
Miss
be fair,
Ebony.
right? Ebony.
Okay.
That sounds like a poly. Um,
Yeah,
to be
don't start
fair,
with your shit already, boy. Oh God.
let me get them. Let me see if I can. Ah, they working.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me see if this one working because Ebony gonna get plenty of this tonight. So, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's not so much that I'm running. Real talk in real time. It is a topic that is all over. I tend to see it more in black couples, maybe because that's what is on my social, right?
Right.
That's my social circle, and that's what I see. But I keep seeing these, and it's so funny that I probably looked at one post one time, and since that, it's been different people who's, what is call it, the logarithm, the
Algorithm?
algorithms, right?
Mm.
So it's funny, but I would say it is becoming the norm nowadays, and I don't judge. I don't say there's anything wrong with it. Um, a lot of people values are different from ours. A lot of people values are different from how we grew up, right? And I do believe how we grew up is how our society at that point in time viewed certain relationships and viewed certain things.
Mm.
As we get older and we read up more and we get more knowledge, we tend to start seeing, the society that I grew up in had these strict rules, but yet there are cultures and worlds out there that are okay with certain things, right? Things that we would have shunned about, growing up in the Caribbean is, supposed to have the marriage and, this and that and that. And then when you look at cultures outside of our European culture, you tend to see that there are cultures that this is like breathing. It is normal, right? And it's not only, and poly comes in many different forms, right? And I think that's why our host, our guest tonight, will kind of elaborate more on what it is. But it can come in different forms. Now, this may be Ebony's point of view of how her relationship is run on the poly side, but I've seen different um, definitions of what poly is. I know you've been doing your little research more than me, so you are free to take the floor
Like
right now.
I think it's a thing of this generation made it more of a sexual thing than what it's supposed to be because I didn't know there's 11 different types of poly relationships. 11.
I did not know that either.
So it's like, damn. So they break it down into like a science like, yo, if you want to have a relationship with a female and y'all pick the mate that y'all want to deal with, then that's one type. If the man picks the mate and the girl have nothing to say about it, that's another type. So it's just like it's more of a I want to say for what I've seen with guys is more of an ego thing to be like, well, yeah, I bullying two girl and I have two girl living with me versus an economical thing to like, yo,
The
this
woman
is
look at it from a different aspect.
yeah. So it's more like, all right, three incomes is better than two as far as a family base kind of thing, you know. But to the point, I'm like, okay, from reading up on it, can one man love two women the same? And my answer to that would be no. Like somebody taking the short end of the stick. So
I would disagree with that.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I would disagree with that. It's like this: you have two kids. Do you love one more than the other?
you want me to be real?
No, no. I'm just saying. A general
Everybody
question.
does.
When you have
Everybody
kids,
does.
everybody when you have kids, you don't really love one more than the other unless one of them is just a waste of sperm. But you don't
No,
really
but
say
all
I
parents
love
got
one
their
more than
favorite.
the other.
All
No,
parents got their favorite.
you favor. You have a favorite, but you don't love one more than the other. You love your kids equally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, unless you were something where I was like, I wish I could just wipe you off, or should I just swallowed or something like that, then those types of like, I just do not like you. I like this one. But you don't ever say, I love this one more than that one. No, I deal with this child more than this child. Because this child is more calm. This child is more easy to work with. This child is listen. This one has stick breaking theirs, right? So why I say I disagree, right? And it's not only men, because now you made it like is one kind of man love two women. Yes, they can. If there's an understanding, just like any relationship, it can happen. It can happen. But it also depends on how the relationship started. Now, I would say this. If it is that the man initiated the whole poly thing, then I believe it's an ego where he using the excuse of poly to just have an extra woman, right? Because we men stupid, we think different, right? Whereas a woman is looking at it from from a financial standpoint, a little bit, also a standpoint where she just wants a relationship, great, right? Um, Two women in a relationship and a man, that man looking at her like, is that done, right?
Nine
So
times out of 10, yeah.
it depends on who initiated it. It depends on how the relationship started. Now, if Tom went out to a club, meet a girl, and then come and tell the girl, or your wife, yo, I meet this thing in the club, or no, I feel like I want to have a poly relationship. Then we already know his whole motive is wrong, right? Can we love two women in a relationship? Yes, you can. You can. You can. It just depends on the type of relationship they have. Equally too. It can happen. Don't say it cannot happen. It can happen. Can a woman love two men in the same relationship?
Yeah, you could, but you gonna love one more than the other one.
Not necessarily. If there's an understanding, and all parties are playing their part. Now this is where it comes back down to the 50-50, right? If all parties are playing their part in the relationship and it's working, it will never be I love she more than I love she. Your love is different from her love. You know what I mean? Your role might be different from her role.
Nicely put. Nicely put. Nicely put.
You know what I mean? It is not that I would love, because then if you love one more than the other, that means your intentions from the beginning, your motive from the beginning was wrong. Your motive from the beginning was just to bring this girl, right? And and have a girl without the problems of she saying that you're cheating on me. You know what I mean? So a lot of my understanding, I feel like this younger generation is using poly just to say I have two women. Or
Yeah,
I have
I
I
agree
wouldn't say
with
it's
you.
women because women think really different. Two women. I mean, a woman with two men. That woman had to really, really sit down and think about it. It's not just what I mean. Women think about what they do. We just stick it in. We just go in head first. We don't think.
Right, and
Right. So
it
yes,
have a woman out there who she have she own show now, and she's living with two men and her. So it's
and
just
they love each other.
yeah,
Okay. For example, Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady lives with his ex-wife. You know Wayne Brady,
yeah, the
black
comedian,
guy,
yeah,
right? Lives with his ex-wife and her partner, her life partner, right? It is not her boyfriend. It is not her husband. Now the life partner was used to dance for Wayne Brady. He was backup,
mm,
right? Wayne Brady is also a pansexual. He's not gay. He just that's a whole nother conversation for another show. But
you
but
lost me there when you start to say this shit, but
no,
he
he's a
ain't gay.
pansexual.
What
So he's
what is
not.
that?
No, he said he just likes people. He likes people personality. I guess what a
Man, don't
pansexual
give me
is.
that shit,
If
bro. You
anybody can
fucking you
enlighten me
like
on
man
what a
and woman. Don't give me
pansexual
that.
is, look it up. No. In my world, you gay, bro. You gay. But I respect his relationship because him and his ex-wife, they have a
Mm,
perfect understanding. The man that she's with was his backup, and that's her life partner. And they all have a great relationship, and I respect people like that. No, I'm not built like that. I'm not built for that. And I guess I'm not built for that because of the upbringing that I had,
okay, so hold on,
where
touch. So
singers,
Butterfly just put the definition of pansexual in the chat, right? And it says sexually. So from the minute you mentioned some sexually, that means you could be sexually attracted to a man,
people of all genders. No,
right?
he is sexually attracted to men, but he's
Oh,
just not
you
gay.
fucking gay. The fuck?
No,
Or
he's not
you
gay. He's not
bisexual?
gay.
The fuck?
No, he's not bi.
They
He's not.
making up
He's a pan.
this pansexual like
He's a pansexual. He's a pansexual. That's what.
yeah
So when
bottom
I
sexual.
first
That's
saw
what
this,
it is.
when I first saw his show, and he
Uh,
have a show about it, I was like, this Negro just using a word, invent a word, and identify as it and taking man. Just
right.
say you're gay. Like, what's the whole pansexual and it's like the whole alphabet.
Because
Like, what?
for a long time, I used to think in order to be in a poly relationship as a female, you had to be bisexual, but that's not
No,
true. Because they
no.
got some poly relationships where, yo, the women don't even sleep together. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have your room, she have her room, and then
So,
the man have his room.
so we call it poly, right? You know, sister wives been a thing.
Huh?
Sister
Sister wives, yeah,
wives.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's
yeah.
been a thing. It's been a thing. This is not something that new, right?
Right.
Poly, I feel like Poly was always there, but I feel COVID invent a bunch of things, right? I believe Poly was always there. It wasn't out in the open like that, but I feel like after COVID, people just felt like, look, we was inside for 2 years. I am going to create something and just go
I
roll with it.
touch not to cut you off. The one where I just mentioned, where everybody live in these separate rooms, that's called a polycule. That's
Polycule.
a polycule, yeah.
So is every day of the week somebody different?
No. It's like all three of them living together, but when it comes sexually, there's no sexual activities with three of them at the same
So
time.
they a polycube, aka roommate,
No, you're living. There's a three-person couple.
but you're not no sexual, no nothing sexual.
No, you like the man or the woman can have sex with both partners, but not a
Not at the same
threesome.
time.
Yeah, because
Oh, okay,
the
okay. So
female
it
might
doesn't
not be
attract
attracted to
okay.
another female.
Okay. I see. Well, yeah, just like men, the two men that with the woman may not be gay, but she has her time with Dick, and then she has her time with
Correct.
Harry, right?
Right.
It's
And
interesting.
see
Look,
that
it is
right there,
interesting.
could a lot of people will call me a hypocrite because I could do the poly relationship, but I don't know if I could do it with two man and a gal. Like I don't know if I can handle that pressure.
Look, I've had this conversation, right? And when you get to a certain age, I think maturity kicks in, where certain things is not like when you was younger and you're saying, I ain't not doing that, or you know how some men when they was younger and they were like, boy, you lead that cat, boy, and then the next man will be like, the gid, why you not doing that, boy? And as they get older now, that conversation started to be like, boy, I just eat like a knife and fork, boy. All the young people know what all them is saying. Because if you don't do it, somebody else will, right? So to your comment where you said you will get into one, I don't see there's nothing wrong with it. Me, here's the conversation. Here's how my conversation will go. Okay, if this is what we're going to do, it has to benefit. We have a house, we have bills. It has to be beneficial to me. If there's another woman, or it's a long shot to be a man in the house, but again, you have to be fair.
Yeah.
Right?
You definitely got to be fair with this one.
If you if you want to have a woman and she's okay. No, here's the thing. There's most women who don't want the man. They rather the woman.
True.
Right? Now, if bills being paid, right? And we living comfortable and we financially stable, and this is something that could work, and every party within the household has that agreement of, hey, this could work, we, then yeah, it could work. You know what I mean? Again, it goes back to how society viewed certain things, and we just have it stuck in our mind of how society is supposed to be, and that's why we always think about, nah, I can't do that. Me, I don't live by society rules. So if it is something that's beneficial, not just to say people watching you like, boy, touch that.
So let me touch on that for a little bit too, as far as how it's supposed to be, right? Now, if we taking it
well,
back,
I don't know how it's supposed to be. That's why we had
we do know how it's supposed to be, because that's technically that's how it is in Africa when you have a bunch of wives.
That's concubines.
Yeah. So, but we come to America and we get Americanized, and you say, well, nah, you're only supposed to be with one person.
I wouldn't say it's America. It's the whole European culture. It goes back to how some okay. For example, voodoo. We know voodoo. We say black magic. We say all these things, right? This is what we learn from small. Black magic, voodoo, bad, bad. Voodoo is not bad, right? The Europeans that came in interpreted it to be bad because they didn't understand it. Anything that you cannot understand, you label it bad.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
So you label it black magic. All right, let me not go white and black, right? Let me go in the days of the Salem. Witches were burnt. Right? Now, when you say witch, they created a name for a person that they didn't understand their practices. Right? Remember back then it was the now Vatican or the churches that control. So if a nurse came in with a practice of putting some bush on a cut and it healed, you were deemed a witch, and then they burnt you. And it's not so much that she was a witch, it's just that their practices at that time were not understood by the men of cloth who believed that let's just pray and it will heal, right? So a lot of things, just like when you go to Africa and you see kings with all these wives, we don't fathom, we don't understand it because we were enslaved by the Europeans and all that. So this is all the knowledge that we know. We only know what we were taught. We don't know anything about Africa because I've never been to Africa. The only thing about Africa and their culture is what I have read about Africa. But if I grew up in Africa and you grew up here and we had this conversation, I would have sat and be like, bro, that's normal. Like that's part of our culture. There is a culture right now in Africa that when guests comes in to their village, they give their wives as a gift to sleep, right? To sleep with their wives as a gift. And that is, to us, when you hear that, you be like, nah, dog, I can't, nah, my wife, boy, nah, dog. But that is so normal to them that it doesn't bother them. Now, here's the problem. Men again, so you have these tourists going there now that they know that they are going there solely just for that.
For that reason, yeah.
Then it starts to spread diseases. Then they come up with diseases because these people were generous. That is their culture. And now you are messing up their culture because you just a horny bastard. You're like, bro, I went down there again. You're all their wives. Let me go down there. And then now it becomes that.
Yeah, it's
then
just...
it will turn into when they probably coming down and raping wife. You know what I mean? But going back to if these poly relationships can work, yes, it can work. If I had the opportunity, again, it has to be a conversation. You sit down with your partner and say, look, um, this is going to be the norm. This is going to be the norm. If it is beneficial for all parties, right? Because you might be in a relationship with somebody and the third person, you always wonder, well, how that third person reach here? Because that third person is tired of relationships. They're tired of men just, you know, just not stepping up. They, you know, what I mean, they just want something to secure, and that's where some poly relationships start. Because that person just want from a woman, she just want that security, and she have the security, and then she have the affection from the woman,
Yeah,
right?
and there's a lot of guys nowadays. They talk this poly talk, but they don't know that you got to be able to take care
Finance, you have to
of two
take care of these.
women.
Yes, you have to take care
That's
of
a
these
big
women.
factor that they miss out. Like,
And it's not only sexually; it's also emotional.
yeah,
Emotional.
yeah.
You are also their security. You are the security of these two women. You have to make these women feel secure. That I really feel that a lot of people is using this poly as a platform to just pat their back, and it's really men. Like I said when I first started, I said I tend to see it more in black cultures. So is the poly in black cultures really a thing now, or is it that men are just using this as an opportunity to say I got two women without having to go on the side and cheat, or you know what I mean? And does that satisfy you alone, or with two women are you still going outside?
Knowing
You
men,
know.
yeah, pretty much.
So it probably is the conversation tonight. I was trying to stray away from this, but um, we're gonna get into it. I want to hear some of these women views on poly. Is it something that you will ever consider? And then, what are your thoughts on polys? And before our guest comes, before Ebony comes in, I want to hear the juice from somebody who's actually in a poly relationships and the pros, the cons, the advantages, the disadvantages. So, anybody wants to come on and give me your views. What do you how do you feel about being in a poly relationship? Would you be in one? Would it be a thought for you and your partner? And just let me hear you. So feel free. Let me know.
Have you seen?
Look,
I
I
had
see
raised
somebody
already.
coming on. Butterfly, you wait. Butterfly, you supposed to be the co-host. Like, how are you the co-host and you just like let
You
me
gotta
see.
push she touch, but get she downstairs. Get she one of these screens on the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah, hold on. Let me. Nah, I don't think she want to be on screen with that thing on she head. You know.
She don't care.
All right, go ahead.
I would not want to be in a poly relationship. However, my niece was, and just from her experience, it started off uh, casual. It started off where she was intimate with the wife first because she considered herself uh, bisexual, but she had a preference for women.
Mm-hmm.
But then the wife was saying, okay, I want to bring my husband into this situation. And so that is what happened. And they ended up, they were all sleeping together in the same bed. They did everything was together. But the problem came in when there was conflict. So what ended up happening from what the information she shared with me, it sounded as though the husband was starting to prefer to sleep with my niece.
Hmm.
So then all hell broke loose in the household. And because she was actually living with them, she had to move out.
And it was the wife's idea, correct?
It was a wife's idea.
And she come and get jealous. You see?
Yeah. So that's why I say it started off, it may start off as an understanding, but I feel like eventually someone is going to get hurt.
So let me ask you a question. You said you would choose not to. Why would you choose not to?
Because I know me.
What that
She
mean?
jealous.
I
She
don't
get
have that kind of
jealous.
understanding.
Okay.
I don't have that.
Okay.
So I don't think it's about jealous. I just think that in my mindset, it's a couple. And if I have to go that route, then let me not be in a relationship at all, and let me just be free to be. If I'm going to be in a relationship, I want to be. solely just me and one person. You know what I mean? So it's not about me being jealous. For me, in my own opinion, that would not be something that I would do in a serious relationship.
Hmm.
If I
So,
wanted to play around and say be a part of a three, if it was three, and I wasn't in a committed relationship,
mhm.
maybe. But in a committed relationship, no.
But you will have some people that say, "Hey, I'm in a poly committed relationship." That's
Yeah,
considered a committed relationship too.
but your
you're right.
ideology goes back to what I was saying before, because of how your upbringing was. It's embedded in us that this is how a
Yeah.
relationship is supposed to be. So there's nothing that in our age,
Mhm,
40s, late 30s, over 40, right? Is
mhm.
nothing that you can tell me right now is going to take that out of my system that
Correct.
this is how it's supposed to be. So our values of a relationship is because we see grandparents,
I would say our
right?
kids gonna look at this way differently.
Do it different, right?
Yeah.
So because now this is the conversation we having. Prior to
Yeah.
this conversation we having, I don't think my parents will ever even consider talking about this. Much less your grandparents will never even mention Polly what? Polly is the parrot on the stick.
Yeah.
Polly what?
Polyester. That's the
Yeah.
only thing
You know
we
what I
can
mean?
talk about is
So
Polyester.
polyester.
you know what I mean? So it is just ideology. So from when you said, I believe a relationship is supposed to be, two people, like it's ideology, right? But I guarantee you, if we get somebody from another culture that they're used to this, you will hear how their ideologies are, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So nothing wrong with what you said, but it's
Right.
just going back to what I said, is just the
Yeah.
ideology that we grew up. It's embedded in us. It's embedded in us so bad that we question it like, well, it's not good in the eyes of the Lord because this, what I mean.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
embedded. It's
Right.
embedded in us. But thank you for that. That was good. It looks like the co-host supposed to talk now. Let me hear what the co-host before you start. Question. I will hear the question. Would you consider
No.
one? Would you
Damn, she answered
consider
that quick, boy.
and I don't want the same answer as Cookie Queen, because then I will go lock you up and say your ideology is from the European people who embedded in our slavery, right? So would you consider it, and what are your thoughts on it?
I would not consider it. I'm selfish. I don't like to share. I had siblings. I don't like to share. I'm sorry. I'm not. When you do that, you bring in another person in. For me in relationships, trust was a really, really big thing for me because it was broken. And so now you have this third person that you got to bring in that you got to trust. And it's only y'all three sleeping together. That's a whole nother, especially if they have the freedom to come and go, you got to trust it. I don't have that kind of trust. I'm working on that.
All they're living together in the same house, It's a household.
Even if you're
But she's
living in the
like, it's
same,
hard trusting
even if
one
you're living
person.
in the
Now you gotta
same house,
trust
it's
two.
hard to trust the one person that you with. Now you want me to trust two people?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I don't. I, it wouldn't work well for me. I know that. Like I say, for one, I'm very selfish. I don't. I give me everything. I don't want to see you doing nothing because no, I'm no.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Thank you for that.
So okay. So what's your thought process on the whole idea of the poly?
Polly, do you?
I
How do you?
mean, to each his own. Everybody. I mean, and like you say, it does maybe have something to do with how you were raised. I can only speak on what she has told us about her. She's older than me, so I'm
Mm,
43, and she's older than me. So does that necessarily mean that her people grew up doing it? Not necessarily. I don't know that part of it, but also on the same hand, like her family knows they accept both of them. They go out together, they go on family vacations together, all of that. But I don't, like I said, I don't know if she can get, she said she was going to try to get on, but just from what she's told me, it goes to the financial part of it. That's how she was looking at it for them. We have three incomes in the house. Now we should not only be able to take care of the household, but now we have this excess money to save and do whatever we need to do. Like I said, the one he came over, so it came from that, but it also was like they all had to sit down and have a talk with one of them because it was like he wanted to go out and look for another girl. Well, they're even open to bringing a fourth person in. However, that fourth person has to have an understanding
For
with
the
the three of
relationship, right?
them. And it was a girl, and she was like, the girl didn't like her. So then she was like, no, it's not an open relationship because you can't just go
Right.
in and out. But even if you bring in somebody in, everybody still has to be able to get along. Well, for adults, for me, that's a lot of people that we got to try to.
And I really think that that's where people get confused what a poly relationship is, right? You said something where you said it's not an open relationship. A lot of people understanding of this whole poly thing is wrong because now
Mhm.
it what it is. All right, for me, if I have to get in a poly relationship, I have to understand what it is first, right? I have to really get to the nitty gritty of what it is, not just somebody saying, "Well, you could have two women, you could have two men." You know what I mean? I need to understand what are the ins and outs of a poly relationship. What makes a poly relationship, right? What makes it? What makes it work? What are the advantages of it? What are the disadvantages of it, right? So it's just not diving into something just to say I would the norm of this whole poly thing, right? Because I feel like poly is something that the word itself was always there, but I really feel like after COVID, it's just start popping up,
Yeah,
like
But
because people started to expose their
it's
life.
been there. It's been there in Utah and Nevada. That's what they do. That's where the Mormon communities.
but
That's what
so
they are. But at the same
you see
time,
what
they have
But
17
that was
wives
polygamy, right? That's
because it's
polygamy.
like
sister wives.
Yeah,
But
that's
right. So, but at the same time, that they can't go out and sleep with other people. Us
right,
that's trying to do it now. Like I
for the
said, what
wrong
she said
reasons.
is the three of them, and the other one wants to go and get another. Well, that's not how it works.
Right.
And then they had, it's set up for however their household is supposed to go or whatever. But
And
I,
I feel like they do, again. You have to understand what you're getting into, because that third person probably like Polly, or you understand that Polly is what you're seeing, right? You're not really sitting down and trying to really understand what Polly. And so when you say Utah and these places, these people are the complexion for the protection. But I feel
mhm.
like I'm seeing it more on our side,
because
right? And
But
is the
our
it
side
thing.
is just
Is
doing
the
it
it
because
thing.
that's what's the norm. It's not.
correct,
They're not doing it for. If I did do it, it's definitely gonna be beneficial. What
it
your
has to be
income look
beneficial,
like?
right? It
Because
has to be
like you say,
beneficial.
what does that look like for me? Oh, I got two men and we always broke.
This is
Not
where
gonna
it goes
be.
back to 50-50. Now, that will be a 50-50 relationship situation. Like, what can you bring to the table? Yeah, you can have sex with anybody. You can have sexual contact with anybody. But now you are talking about being part of our household, part of our family, part of our
Hmm.
relationship.
Because if you
What
got one
can you
female that's
bring?
the go getter, then you
Right?
got one that's the nature, the washing the clothes, the
Right?
cleaning, the cooking. It works
But
out
no,
that way.
no, no. The man also has his role. Some men don't understand. You have to have your role. It's just not that you having two women. You have your role. You're not just going to be like, yeah, I got two. You know what I mean? You have your role as well as just like Muslims. Muslims culture have many wives. You know what I mean? There's some Muslim culture that has many wives, but it's an understanding. But that's a religion. I feel like us nowadays this is becoming a norm because it's a style. It's like when style comes into fashion, everybody wants to do it. That's how I feel poly is nowadays. There's cultures that was doing this way before sister wives, the Mormons, and that's their culture. But for us, we doing it for the wrong reason, and it's really more men with two women, right?
Yeah, you rarely see it.
What
You rarely see it the other way
what
around.
if your wife says, "Nah, I want a man"? Would you say no? Then it's
Right.
unfair.
And that's the
It's
thing. It
unfair.
has to be fair on both sides. If we're gonna talk about that, just like he said, I can do two women, but
Right.
I don't know if I can have another man in the house. Well, now that's a double standard.
Right.
It has to be able to go both ways if you're gonna do
Especially
it. I
especially
mean,
if my wife or my girlfriend is like, yo, I want it to be a sexual thing. I'm like, I
Then that's not a
I
poly
can't watch
relationship.
I
She
I can't
just
watch our next naked man. Sorry, I can't do it.
it it
Like I
it, it
can't.
if she says so again, it goes back to understanding poly.
No, that's what
Poly
I'm
is
saying,
not
Touch. Even
only
when in my
sexual.
younger days, when we used to be like, yo, we're on a train on this thing, I can't do it, bro. I
Choo
can't
choo.
watch a next naked man. It's not gonna work.
And
It's
then
not gonna
he's
work.
swinging and touching it. Then when
Yeah,
he
I
think he
can't do it.
touching the ground,
That's why niggas, I've never ran a train on nobody. I couldn't
he
do it,
think
bro.
touch
I
the ground,
couldn't
and
do
you watching like, well, I thought I was average. What is that?
Oh Lord.
But
But too, you have to, like Danny said, it's a trend. You have dudes that's got two females and you a bum. You got women taking care of you.
I
Like
don't understand how that happens. I don't understand
I'm
how
not
that
doing
happens.
it. It's one thing if you were a guy that was working and you was taking care of everything, okay, and you hit a financial hardship, you got laid off or lost your job. But if I know you're a bum coming into the situation, absolutely not.
Right.
so Cookie Queen asked, my take with woman with two men. I'm fine with that. Just not with me. I'm fine with that. And I just being real, right? That's why I will probably never get into a poly relationship because I want to be fair. If I could do it, bringing a woman into it, it's like saying you want to have a threesome, right? And you present this to your wife, your girlfriend, right? And you're like, babe, I want a threesome, right? And she lay her a threesome. And then after now, she says, well, I want a threesome, but no, I want it with a man. You
Want
want
me,
to say no?
want me to tell you why, Touch? Because society
Yeah.
doesn't fringe on woman and woman like how they fringe on man and man. Let's be
But
real.
who
Like
is society? It's
society
not
on the
that.
whole, like we would see two women
The same
kissing.
society that want that's saying it's okay.
Yeah,
No, I
we
don't think
We
that's
do this
society.
now.
I
it
think
is.
that's a
Watch
personal
this. Like
preference.
I
we
do
would see.
because it's okay for females to have sex with each other. Oh, that's hot. That's steamy,
There you go.
y'all.
But
There you go. There
But
you
two
go.
men? Oh
but
no.
but
What?
But
No.
but
but
that society is men.
no
Because
no
men
no.
will sit
Listen
down
to
and
this
watch.
though.
Listen,
No, Touch. Let me make a point. Back
Right.
in college, you could
Right.
ask 9 out of 10 females, "Hey, when all those going to college, you ever kiss a girl before?" 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, "Yeah, we tried it, but we tried it." You would never
Right.
hear a man say, "Yo, I tried to kiss a man before," unless he's gay.
not nowadays. Not nowadays. Nowadays,
But
again.
females would be like, "Yeah, I kissed her before, but I'm not
No, it
gay."
is. No, it is. You getting that? No, it is. You are. No, it is. You gotta be careful.
But you know what I'm saying? Like we would see
No,
two
but
women kissing, and we're gonna be like, "Boy, that
But
shit
again,
hot, boy."
you say we are men because two
Just the
two
fact like how you could
kissing
two girl could wind up on themselves in the club.
and a man will look at that as damn, they're looking good. A woman will be looking at it as what the hell's wrong with these two chicks? That's wild, right?
No,
You know what I mean?
it's
Yes,
a norm.
It is.
It's a norm in the
I do.
club.
Men.
I
It's
do.
men.
No, it is in the club, but see, even if I dance on my friends, like it's a certain way that
Right.
you dance on your friends.
Okay, let me
I'm
ask you a
not
question.
gonna
So
be behind
if you and your friend getting
something, I'm
dressed,
not doing it.
if you and your friend getting dressed to go to the club, you be naked around your friend, right? Like it's nothing.
But that's just woman. That's just woman though.
We
And
all
that's
got
what
the same thing.
I'm saying.
Men do it all the time in the locker room. Me and somebody is having a conversation about that today, right?
Yeah.
It's just not us. When you go to the gym and you go into that locker room, these old quaint looking things swinging wherever they're swinging all over the place like normal. It's just us. We had our pride. We just wrap towel around. We quick, right? While them walking around with the quaily body looking like, you know what I mean, crumpled paper.
In a
and
public
walking around
gym. In a public gym.
It's just us. It's just us. It's not, and it's really men who love to see women. Or you don't watch porn, right? But when you will see a man. I don't agree with the whole gay and lesbian thing, right?
Mm.
But then you will sit down and watch two women in a porn and get turned on.
Mm-hmm.
Why not watch two men? If you don't agree with it,
Society.
you shouldn't be watching.
Society.
It's not society. It's men.
And
It's
it's
us men.
not even saying that the two men are sleeping with each
Right.
other. It's
It's
just that
just men.
idea that this woman has two men. Oh, they gotta be doing something. They might not even be, because for me that's not gonna work for me. If I got two men, y'all don't need to touch nothing together at all.
Right. So it's supposed to
So
be
it's not necessarily that
So
they are.
so everybody gonna have their separate rooms then.
clink.
I
if-
mean, you can have your separate room, or we can have one room, and you rotate out your days. But that's
Right,
just that.
right.
don't-
So there are
doesn't work.
relationships like that. There are those where, like you said earlier, Kwesi, where, I mean, the sexual part of it is a poly relationship. And that, I think, is the ideal definition of a poly relationship, where we are in a relationship, we are all contributing to this relationship, where essentially it will become a family atmosphere. But you have sex with her, in her room.
Right.
I have sex with you in my room, but at the same time, we still coexist. When it becomes where, but babes, like, bring she in. Again, I think it's a man ego and that's where we go wrong with understanding.
And
the
you
whole
and you especially
poly-
can't force your wife to have a threesome if
No,
she's not
No.
into females. Like, come on.
right, right. I don't want a girl kitty cat in my face. Like, nah, I don't want that. You know what I mean? So that will work if you're in a relationship with two people, right, man or woman, right, and you have two men in the house. These two men bring something to the table. It's not again. It's easier for a man to have two women in a relationship than a woman to have two men because now a woman has to think about her, you know what I mean, how she portray herself because how family see her because then you'll be like, damn, you just taking dick all day. You have two men in the house. So, you know, again, no, that goes back to society where society watches where if a man have 15 girl,
He's like,
damn,
Gallus.
yeah, boss, yeah.
He's
But
like,
with a
Gallus.
woman, it's a train. You nasty, you a hoe, you know, and all these things. So when you in a woman in a poly relationship with two men, it's not that easy as a man
I don't.
in a relationship with two women.
But so Danny, to answer yours, I think that go back to like what Natural said. We we are from Africa, however, because of how we were raised in this European culture, we lost a lot of stuff that came from Africa.
It's
Mm.
embedded in.
So for the people that are still there, and that's
It's
what
a
they
norm.
still
It's
practice, that's
normal.
what they practice. But us and our parents and our ancestors that's been over here, and this is what you're supposed to do in America,
It was
then we don't
beaten
have that
into us.
just like they say the dialect that you lose when you come over here
Yeah.
because you adapt that's kind of the same thing, some of the cultures and values that they do. I mean, even with us now, some of the stuff that we used to do with my grandma as tradition, we don't do no anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because according to America, we're too busy for all of us to get together like
Uh,
we did as a family. So this society that we have is what has
it,
been
it,
what
it,
we
it,
adopted from our ancestors being brought from there.
and you're right, Chrissy. My kids and the kids after that,
Hmm.
this is gone. This will become so damn.
This is
This
everybody
is
for
normal.
everybody.
This is normal, you know, or the even values like I grew up in church, right? Don't really. I'm not a church person, but that is something my grandmother embedded in you, the Bible and that, right? I my kids don't really. It's not that they don't know, but I don't push them. You have to go to church every Sunday, and you have to go to Sunday
Right.
school, and you have to be what they call confirmed. You know what I mean? The holy, you know, you know what I mean? It's now by the time they grow up, that that'll
That
be
church thing
dead.
gone.
It'll be
The,
dead.
the church thing is gone because that's what we were taught. But
Mhm.
if you read the
Mhm.
Bible says if you confess with your heart, or
Mhm.
if you believe in your heart and confess with your
Surrender
tongue,
your
you
heart and not
believe,
your
then you will
garment.
be saved. That's the point of being a Christian, is to be saved. So I don't have to go to church every day. I can study my Bible here at home. I can watch TV online like I do sometimes if I choose to.
See,
It's just for me.
that
I prefer to go to church
that is
because
another
I like
topic.
the actual feeling of being there.
Hey,
That is a
you see
topic.
that topic there?
That
That
topic.
topic will be rough.
What
Because
topic?
my
That church
that
topic?
church and Bible, that is an
That
ideology that really believe we were beaten to believe those things, right?
hey,
But that
butterfly.
is a
I'm gonna be real
don't
with
get
you
into
on
that with
that.
me.
I'm with touch on that.
Get into
Like,
that- Don't get into that with me because real quick, I ain't gonna touch on it, but every other culture, right? When you look at their God, it resembles them, but us,
That's because what
society,
they put in the picture of it to be. If you really read in the Bible, it don't say that he lily white.
who wrote
He
that?
got wool hair. Whose hair is wool? Are the white people hair wool?
So let's
So
go back to Polly. Let's
they
go back
make
to
they
Polly.
make that image of what he gonna be.
hold on.
Let's
Let
go
me
back to
answer.
Polly.
Let me
Let's go
answer
back to
this
Polly.
question, right? So you said that how in Africa it's not an ego thing, Cookie, or is that what you was trying to say? Or
Why is it a man ego in Africa? Because it's their culture. It's
there's
what
no
they
there's
grew
no
up
ego
knowing.
there.
It's no ego. That's their culture, right? It's just like it's black people culture to give me one example of let me see Cookie Queen. I'm gonna meet you for a minute, butterfly, right? Um you're a little older than me. I'm not gonna put it out there like butterfly. She's older than me. She's older than me. You're a little older than me, right? You're a little more seasoned
They
than me. I
smoking
should
their
say.
weed?
Nah, that's that's a
She actually wine, she actually vape, she ready,
yeah.
ready.
Cookie Queen, you're a little more seasoned than me, right? So you may know um of something that black people do as part of their culture, right? So what we do as black, I wouldn't, I didn't grow up in America like that. So certain black American cultures I don't really follow. Thanksgiving I don't really follow that because my Thanksgiving is prayers. And, you know, that's Thanksgiving in Trinidad, prayers, singing hallelujah and all these things, right? So
Like it is.
just how you as a black person in America will follow a culture that you guys grew up doing and it's normal, is the same thing like Africa and having other wives. It's not they don't even call it a poly relationship because that's we label that poly, right? We label this, right? Just like we label pansexual. What the hell is that? I don't know. To them, that's just their culture. It's their culture.
that's my wives with an S.
So there's no, yeah, that's my wives, and they support the man as the support system, and the wives all agree, and there's no ego, and there's no jealousy, and there's you know why? Because their culture that they grew up in is completely different from how we grew up.
Yeah.
So there is no ego there. Ego is us nowadays. These men nowadays is ego. That's how I look at poly. They label something, they give it a name, and they run in with it. Because every time I look on Instagram, is seeing black couples and is more a man with two women and he's selling that, right? You can't sell me Jesus Christ if he come today, you can. But that's what they're selling you, right? So ego, there's no ego in Africa. And it's not only Africa, right?
No,
It's
it's
not
other
only
countries.
Africa, no. There's also a country where, flip side, there's women that have many husbands.
What country is that?
I think it's an African country too. I read up on it. It's normal, like normal. She has many husbands and they okay. And again, it's not labeled poly. It's not
Right.
labeled anything. It's just that is the culture. That is the it's like, you know, Indians used to marry off young long time and they have the dowry and it was you get married to whoever I tell you get married to. But once you can give 15 cows and how much pigs and all these things. To us looking from the outside is like, damn boy, she's 15 and he like 40 something years old and they already married. That's real nasty boy. But that's their culture. You know what I mean? That's what they know. Every picture of
True,
God was
true.
darker vision than what we see in America. Look, Allah is the name of God, right? And when I say the name of God, that's the name, the Arabic name for God, right? Right? Muslims don't have a picture of any God in their house because they don't know what he looks like, right? But anyway, poly, ego. There is no ego, right? It's just cultures. There's certain things that you grew up with that you know from young. This is what I have to do every Christmas, or this is what I have to do this day. You know.
So butterfly. So that's one of the types of polys too. That polyandry.
Polyandry?
Yeah, that's
I
another
find you
type
real
too.
researching that. I find you real research
I,
this.
I'm
Like,
I'm intrigued by it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
there's
intrigued
your
by it,
picture.
bro.
There's your picture.
I,
Are you gonna picture this?
nah, I ain't picturing that, bro.
Look at
I
this
ain't
dude. This
picturing
dude
that.
he done did his research.
I done pictured that because I wanted to talk about it.
So here what, babes? So we got like 10 different types, right?
Which one you want?
And, which one do you want, right? We can have the ones with 3 women, you know, and the separate rooms. You gonna put a whole brochure thing? But I want to hear from somebody else.
We
Feel
have
free.
Miss
Good night, silent assassin.
Silent Assassin just
Silent
join up.
assassin is our
She,
wisdom, you
she
know.
she quiet over there.
She's our wisdom. So, of course, the topic tonight is poly. Is the word that they gave this type of relationship where 2 women, 1 man, 2 men, 1 woman. And how do you feel about it? Is it something that you agree with? Is it something that you would ever consider? Let me hear your thoughts. I want to hear from some of the wisdoms, the freaks, educators.
um, I don't think that I could do that effectively. Um, but whatever floats your boat. If you could handle that, um, I think that would be a lot to keep up with.
Why you
To
say that?
have
Why you say that?
Why wouldn't you be able to? What would be your non-selling point? Why wouldn't you be able to get in a relationship like that?
Um, just from people that I have heard that are in that type of relationship,
Mm-hmm.
um, and from the things I've seen on TV, because like I've been intrigued by that kind of stuff. So I like watch the Sister Wives and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. Um, somebody's feelings always get hurt somewhere
It comes up
because
all the time.
you're spending too much time with that one and not spending enough time with me, or you didn't consider my feelings. Now, some days you think, hey, that would be perfect. Hey, girl, you want my night? Because, I got other stuff I got to do. That seems like that would be good sometimes. But then what happens when, like if I watched this one show, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was on, oh, Big Love. It was on HBO. And so he was Mormon. He had three wives, um, and their backyards all shared. And that started to be a problem because one wife was like, "Hey, you're spending too much time at her house, and it's supposed to be my night." And he was like, "I was just tired and I fell asleep." And she's like, "Well, you can't do that." So I could see something like that becoming an issue.
Uh, so do you think they're running, because every relationship has issues, right? Whether it be
Absolutely.
whether it be man, woman. I have a neighbor, and it's him, wife, kid, right?
Hmm.
And the wife stepped out,
Hmm.
and the reasoning behind it was that he was spending too much time with his daughter. This daughter probably was like 4 at the time.
I've,
So
I've heard of that too.
I think it comes down to, when it comes to these relationships or any relationships, what was the foundation of understanding before the relationship started? And it goes back to me saying a lot of people get into these poly relationships without fully understanding the nature of it, and that's probably where you run into issues. Because with any relationship, I can be
I
sitting
think I
here
think a lot of I think a lot of people go into the poly relationship thinking, oh,
without
it's sex, 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 sex,
that.
sex.
That's
Yeah.
That's
the
not what
problem.
it's about.
That's the problem.
And that's not what it's about at
Um,
all. It's
I
supposed to be about a relationship, like you said.
Yeah, for me, I don't feel like I can deal with it because I'm not built like that. But I've never tried
Me
it,
either.
so I don't know. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I go back to saying, if it's beneficial to me and my significant other, where it's beneficial to us on a whole, and it can work. Things can work. It's just a matter of just setting the foundation of, hey, this is what this relationship is going to entail, right? Um,
But again, that's where that tradition comes in.
so tradition is right back to where it's society. We know
Well, and
tradition
I don't
because of
I don't
society.
even think it's society. I think it's just, you know, we have been conditioned to think and
Tradition,
believe
quick word.
that yes, we've been conditioned and to believe
Hmm.
that it's one person for one
Right.
person.
But where did
And
that conditioning come from?
that I don't know. But I
It's
do
a
think, I
society.
mean, it is possible. I do believe it is possible for you to love two people at
You
one
can,
time.
right? But there's
However,
some
that's
people
not
not
going to be
built
it.
like that.
But it's not going to be an equal love somewhere too,
That's and
Right.
that's and that's my and
because
that's my argument.
you're not gonna love. I'm not gonna love one like I love the other when I'm in a romantic relationship. That's different than having a parent-child
But
or
it
a
could also
sibling
echo. It could
relationship.
also echo because it will be one of those things where you're in a relationship with two people, and then I just can't stand you today, and then now you tend to realize you gravitate into this one, and then when this one pisses you off, I just can't stand you, and then you start gravitating to this one. So when you say it can, I believe love could work with two. It just have to have an understanding, right? It just really have to have
I
an
don't I maybe yes
different
maybe
qualities. There we
I
go,
can
multiply. Different qualities.
I
You're
can
gonna love somebody for different qualities. Just like your child. You love this one because this one quiet, and you love this one because this one's smart. But you're not saying you don't love either of them more than the other. You just love them for
but I
whatever.
think I think that's a little different than a romantic relationship. I feel like a child parent relationship is a different type of love than a romantic
I agree with her
relationship.
touch. There's no way you could romantically love two people the same romantically. Nah, it ain't
Right.
happening.
The romantically, having a romantic relationship with two people, it's not going to be equal. Some, I agree, Vicky
I,
Queen.
I, I, I
Somebody
I would
is going to
disagree. That's
get
why I
hurt.
just feel like people feelings get hurt when there's no transparency. That's why I feel people feelings get hurt because one is lying to the other, right?
Not
Um,
necessarily, because if you're in this poly relationship where it's
mhm,
three people,
mhm,
and that's where I'm saying the feeling piece comes in, because even if, so to use your example, I can't stand you today, so I'm going to spend with Susie
mm,
Q. Well, then my feelings are hurt
right.
because you can't stand me today, even though we've had a misunderstanding.
Suck it up.
Whereas if it's two if it's two people versus three,
Right.
you and I and that two person are gonna should, I'm not gonna say are going to,
And there's the flip
should
side. There's the flip
talk
side.
it through.
There's a
You should talk it through because
right,
you don't have anywhere else to run to. You
right,
got to
right,
work it out.
right. Who you going to the next?
Whereas if it's three of us, yeah, you'll go to the next person. And then when they make you mad, you're gonna come back to me. And then I'm gonna be in my feelings because I'm like, well, what am I? Chopped liver, I'm second choice. So it's
And
kind of
I feel like that situation. Because somebody said it earlier, where I feel like if you're already in a set relationship, right, and you introduce a third person to the relationship, that is where that problem will, especially if you've been with somebody 10 years, and all of a sudden you decide to say, you know what, everybody wearing bell bottoms, let me wear bell bottoms too. I want to be in style, so I wear poly, right? And you get somebody in a poly relationship. Now you starting to show the fresh one more attention than the old one. Yeah,
well,
they're both.
that's very similar to that Big Love show that I watched
Hmm.
and the Sister Wives, because on the Sister Wives in this Big Love show, when the man is ready to take on a new wife because somebody has caught his eye, they have to agree to it, but they're still feeling some kind of way. And even though the first wife is like the queen bee, first wife is queen bee, period. But even
I
first
think
wife
TV is just
can get
messing up
tired
our
of it.
brain. TV is just
Wow.
messing up our
So they
mind.
have a show out that
No, but it no, it's true in the Mormon
Yeah,
religion.
I've known about the Mormon religion for a while,
They
about those sister wives.
they have that, and
Well, I'm
I
sure
mean
they
they
have
might have
issues too.
20.
I'm sure they have
That's what I'm
issues.
saying.
You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. So, but in the one that the shows that I've seen, the true and then the fake, um, if my husband is ready for a new wife, I have to agree to it. And if I say no and I'm queen bee, it doesn't happen. But then he's gonna feel some kind of way
Yeah,
because you just rejected somebody that I want.
you a hater. And who picks these? Again, it's understanding, right? In these poly relationship, who's the one that picking the third person? Who comes up with the idea?
in which one? In which relationship?
The female.
No, no, no. Uh, no, I'm saying what
But
kind of poly relationship you talking about?
yeah, sir, I know one poly. Usually, one researching all 15 cases of poly and different types of poly. I'm not the expert here. You are. So you can
I know
label, you
expert. I
can
know
label,
expert.
you
That
can
shit.
label them out. You can label out your poly relationship. Thank you a lot, Silas. I said that was great feedback. I want to hear from Chicago. Chicago was saying I'm quiet. Um,
It's called anchor partners. That's what you're looking for.
see,
That's the word you're
see,
looking for.
see. We still have Lisa sitting in the red room. I want to hear because it is very interesting and very intriguing. And you are right. These topics have to come from somewhere. People are doing it, right? There are people who are probably making it work, and there are some people who are just using it for their own personal gain. Where you sell a good game, right? You do your research and you sell a good game like I think it will work. But in reality, men really just using it for their personal gain. Chicago, I want to hear your views. What are your views on poly?
She said, "Don't they
Would you
quiet, quiet, quiet? They say
would you
nothing."
ever consider poly? And yeah, it's about this. I want to hear your views. I like to hear different views.
Um,
She
I've
busted
never
on poly.
sat down to actually think about it.
Mm-hmm.
For me and my personal views, I couldn't do it because there's something having a vagina in my face just don't work out for me.
What if you didn't have the
So,
vagina in your face? What if you had the
but
type where
then,
you stayed away from that sexually?
so for me, it in that realm, it probably would work. But again, a poly relationship is a business relationship. That is solely what this is about. Because yes, you're gonna get mad at me, you're gonna go to another one, you're gonna get mad at her, come back, and now we're playing ping pong on our emotions. And
Mm.
now we have to understand that this is a business relationship. If this is what we're in,
Transactional.
you can get mad, I can get mad, but at the end of the day, we can't get mad where business is not being handled,
Mm.
which everyone's emotion is not being put into place, which and I believe in poly relationship is not. There's always someone suffering at some point, whether it is a woman or whether it's the man. Because at some point in some poly relationships I've seen where the women have ganged up on the men. And now that man is not being fed emotionally the way that he should in his feelings wise. And now that poly relationship is being cheated on because they're not getting that emotional support from those two women, or that one person is not getting the emotional support that they need or they feel that they should need. So it's a business relationship. And if you can't put down in writing, I believe a poly relationship is a business relationship. We have to put down in writing what the expectations are. And if those expectations for everyone is not being met, then it's not the relationship or that person is not the right one. A lot of times in poly relationships, people have to understand the men pick the women, but the women, if you're in a marriage and you go out and say, "Hey, I met someone," if that woman is not connecting with it, she's going to mask that emotion because it's something that the husband wants, and now we're trying something new, and now that wife is putting her emotion because if I'm not physically attracted to you, there's no way that we can continue this poly relationship because I can't sit there and even if I'm like, okay, we're all going to be in this together. If I'm not physically attracted to you, then it's going to turn me off. Now the business side of that is going to be affected because now I'm not being pleased in that portion.
Hmm.
So it all depends on how you look at it, how you come into a poly relationship. I am not one, if I'm in a relationship, I'm not sharing. We've already shared enough in our lifetime where I don't believe is sharing. If we are in a relationship and you feel the need that outside is where you need to be, then we're going to take a break and you can do whatever you need to do while you're outside and we can figure out if this is where we want to be. But you also have to understand is while you're outside figuring out what you want to do, I will also be doing the same.
Touch, can I get an
It's
applause
not
for that,
a
please? Can I get a
sit
applause?
down.
Can I get an applause for that? There's
It's
my
not a
applause
sit
for that,
down
please.
and I'm going to sit and wait for you to figure out whether this is where you want to be. I'm also going to do the same. And in a poly relationship, it's the same as being as in a monogamous relationship. You have to have some type of boundaries that you have to set in every relationship because one person is going to like something, the next person is not going to. And you have to incorporate that where everyone has some type of security. Everyone has to have a secure blanket in that relationship. And having three people in a relationship, that is very hard because someone is never going to be pleased 100%.
Hmm. Mm-mm-mm.
You have all that, and you've been hiding all that the whole show.
Did we write this down?
She been hiding this the whole show. This quiet, just so.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna give her another one because that was great. That was great. Thank you very much for that. That was great feedback. Wow. If you was considering poly, you just reconsider after she input her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but took some points from it, right? So it is transactional, it is business. It has to be. You know what I mean? Why bring a third person into our relationship if it's not gonna benefit something, right? Also, with poly relationship, one person is really gaining from it. the reason why I say that is because one person had to make the suggestion, right, to bring somebody else in, and the other person is only doing it because I want to make her or him happy, right? So they may not really be into the poly relationship, but look, I love my husband, I love my wife, I just want to make them happy, right?
Unless
And that,
that's the society that you live in, unless that's the neighborhood
yes,
that you live in.
unless that's a culture that you grew up in, and that's all you know. All you know is like, yeah, I grew up in two generations of having, you know, two mothers and a father. You know what I mean? As I write it down, because as I saying that, something come to my head. I want to talk about this on the next show. And this is
I mean,
this is
this topic has been very, very educational for me. Like,
it is very educational.
yeah.
Of course, we always run in for time, and
But let me say something before we go, right? We label ourselves as Limin with the fellas, and we could talk about anything. There's a lot of topics that people say, "Wait, we ain't gonna touch that." But you see that religion, that Bible talk. I want to talk about that because I need a lot of understanding when it comes to that book. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, because stuff in that book, I have common sense, and that's not equaling with my common sense whatsoever. So I would like to find out a lot of stuff about that book. Seriously.
the book.
Ah,
That
yeah, the
was
book. Yeah.
It was written up in the book.
So if that's the topic for next week, I mean,
No,
we have.
actually, while we were talking about society and how you grew up with two parents, right?
Mhm.
This is what confuses me, right? And maybe somebody, well, I don't know, Lisa, did you have any comments? You're sitting down in dark there.
Red light
looking like
special.
yeah, red light
Oh,
special.
okay.
I want to hear your views on it. You are part of this cast as well, so I like to hear different views. I've heard a couple different views, and every woman on here said, "Nope." Right. So Lisa, you will be our final. I want to hear your views. Polly.
Can
what
y'all
is your
just leave me in my red light? I don't have anything to say. I'm just listening.
So you're not listening. So all right. I know you don't have nothing to say, right?
Oh my gosh.
Polly, right? Are you for it or are you against it?
That's it.
It depends. Can I live in the house by myself?
What do you mean? Yeah, they got you could doesn't necessarily mean you have to live together.
I mean, if it's beneficial financially, I'm all for that. That's the only benefit I could see from it.
Well, that's fair.
But I have to be with a man and a woman. I can't do two men.
That's strange. Why is that?
Why?
I mean, I am attracted to women as well too. So
Does
Okay.
that make it easier for you, or let's say you were not attracted to women, right? Would you still not be able to get with two men in a relationship?
I want to be honest.
Yeah.
No, you
I
don't-
mean, I feel like, so I know they say like two men, that's like a train,
Right.
but it has to be like two men who is completely and utterly infatuated with me.
Right.
Like they have to be totally like, I want both of them to be in love with me. That's the only way a two men for me would work.
Because then it will become an ego thing for those men saying,
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, boy, we tapping on the same, you know what I mean? So, and most women will say that they wouldn't get with two men because it really, you have to really be invested, right? You really have to be emotionally, physically, and mentally attracted to that for it to really work. Whereas, again, a man could say, thank you, Lisa, a man can get with two women easy because we just, like, but Cookie Queen said it right last week. A man is just sticking, nut, roll over, and he's happy. Whereas a woman takes a lot more to please a woman.
She said she needs your equipment to be a co-host.
Huh?
I read about butterfly this pretty text.
You see what?
Oh
Yeah,
God.
like,
Oh man. Touch, where's the topic for next week, Jed? Where's the topic for next week?
When continental girl a text set want me for themself forever except man a loose cannon me never
Oh,
accept.
man.
Me fire me target in excess, yes. Me do them
That song fit perfect to this topic. That song fit perfect to this topic.
Somebody says sharing is not caring. Yes, it is. He said it, and he's blind.
Girl, if you want me,
And if he can see that, you guys should see it too.
sharing is caring.
Yeah, yeah.
If he can see that and he's blind, you guys should see it too. So before we leave, great conversation. I really appreciate everybody's input. It's always great just having real conversations, adult conversations. No disrespect, nothing against anybody. It's just so good to have different views of and everybody's different opinion, right? So that's one of my topics that I want to bring to light. Again, we want to talk about real things on the show, right? I'm trying to wrap my head around understanding. So I know nowadays the norms is the polys and the pans and the alphabet people and the identify as and stuff like that. To each on his own. That's all there, right? What I don't understand is as a child or as a boy or as a girl.
I know you're going with this.
Growing up in a same-sex family, right? Does it work?
No.
What are the views and what are the values that child will grow up with? Will that child grow up thinking it is okay?
Yes.
To be, you know what I mean? So that's a topic.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Because it confuses me when I see two men adopting a child and they have the child, and no, I'm not saying they are bad parents. I just feel like, is that ideal? Where's the female aspect of that relationship? I don't care how much you think you can be fly and tutti frutti. You are not a female, sir. You are not a female, right? So let's talk about that next week. Of course, it's always a great time. There's always good laughs. I think everybody is coming out more out of their shell.
We like that.
Chicago gave us a whole book I was writing down, but she was talking so fast I couldn't keep up. So even if I was thinking about being in a poly relationship, she just deterred me. She done start out with it's a business relationship, So that is a topic, and as we always says, hit us up, during the week before Thursday. If you have any topics that you want to talk about, we will talk about it. This is an open forum where we can talk, right? We are not pointing fingers at anyone. We are not calling anybody's name. We are just having conversation of topics that's out there. These are topics that's out there. When you go on your Instagram, every time that I scroll, you see something about poly. You see it, right? We see something about gay marriages. We see something about same-sex families. We see these things. So these are conversations that we as a family and as a society among ourselves, we could talk about these things, right? So with that said, I would say thank you guys. Great show. And we can always go back on YouTube and look at it and listen to it. And maybe you were drinking at the time you made your comment and then now you want to recant. It's not going to happen. It's going to air. It's going to air. Now, we will say that nobody faces is all people see is our faces and just your voices. So we respect people. We don't put people's faces up there unless you want to be a co-host, right?
Miss Bonnet.
Right. So, thank you, ladies, for that, and whoever is listening also on YouTube. Thank you for that. Until next Thursday. Should I play it again, Sherry?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, play it as the outro.
So you guys have a great Friday, great weekend, educators. We outside Saturday, If all ain't get all they take it from Rambo yet, something wrong. All they sticking. And we blaming Cookie Queen because all she want to do is full she belly with cookie on a Sunday. Always late for the show, I don't know how much cookie you can take up inside of your belly. Down in your throat, girl.
Down in your belly. I cut it off the YouTube link now.
Yeah.
Easy and stay true to one queen, but wait, hold on. If Solomon and David had laid this by the dozens, then why can't I be greedy?
Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
One girl when continental a girl I take set, want me for themself forever except, man.